Now this film looks like an Oscar contender. Absolutely visually stunning. And what did I think of it? Well, those of you who follow me on Twitter know that I have millions of questions about this one. And the one question that's really nagging at me is, why wasn't I just rewatching The Revenant instead? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? And yep, here we are again, another brand new movie review. And as always, I thank you all so much for stopping by, and I really hope you enjoy your stay. But this time around, of course, we are hopping onto Netflix to take a look at their brand new exclusive film, The Midnight Sky. This one was directed by the one and only George Clooney, and starring him as a lone scientist in the Arctic who races to contact a crew of astronauts to warn them not to return home to Earth, which due to a mysterious global catastrophe has been left in utter shambles. So, good lord. Okay, let me start off with the positives first, because this should have been a huge Oscar contender considering the names involved. And I'll give the film credit, I think it at least has the potential to bring home at least a nomination for visual effects, because these are just unbelievable. The stuff not just in space, but in the Arctic also are just absolutely staggering. I also love the design of this ether spaceship. It just looks so cool. That's one thing I really love about space films, is how these filmmakers approach the design of these spaceships, because I feel like every single one just looks and feels so different. Now, George Clooney as a director is hit or miss for me. I absolutely loved The Ides of March, his directorial debut. I think it's an absolutely overlooked political thriller. It's a fantastic film that I think more of you guys should definitely check out. But his two other films, Monuments Men and Suburbicon, both kind of got mixed, leaning negative reviews from critics. And he does show flashes of greatness as a director with Midnight Sky. I really dig what he's doing with the visual presentation as well as the shot composition. Him and his DP deserve a lot of credit for how this film looks. And there were a couple of instances where I was like, whoa, I haven't seen a director do that kind of shot before. Just super cool stuff. And in the acting department, George Clooney is easily the most investing character and performer in this. He is acting his heart out in this role. I'll also say, very different look for him as well. And I really respect the man a lot for being so willing to explore his range as a performer. And his character in this, his arc with the little girl that he meets along the way, easily the most interesting part of this film. And it's easily the most emotionally investing aspect of this film. But this is where my issues start. The Arctic stuff is really cool. I kind of wish this whole film was centered around the Arctic stuff. But you gotta remember, there is a whole other storyline going on up in space. And yes, I totally get what they're going for here. It's essentially Apollo 13 in reverse. But every time they cut to the spaceship, I was just like, aw, can't we just go back to George Clooney? Because they were going somewhere with that. If the movie was just about him, I feel like this would have affected me a lot more than it did. Because the space stuff in any big epic like this, that should never feel like an afterthought. And it was. And you could feel that. It's not to say the performers in space are bad. This is an extremely talented crew. Felicity Jones, David Oyelowo, Demian Bichir, Chandler. I mean, my goodness, I should have loved this crew. And the performances are good, given the material, because let's face it, aside from just who their characters are, there really isn't a whole lot of juicy material for them to dig their teeth into to craft this really memorable performance. Let me just give you an example. What's Felicity Jones's character in this? Well, she's a pregnant astronaut. She's romantically interested in David Oyelowo's character, who's the commander of the ship, and that's about it. That's literally all we get out of them. Demian Bichir just feels like he's there on the ship with them, which sucks because I really enjoy him as a performer. I mean, have you seen his performance in Hateful Eight? He was like, oh man, he was one of my favorite parts of that film. And he just felt so sidelined. Same with Chandler, who really should have been the emotional heart of this crew. But none of them really get enough time to really give us that ultra memorable performance. Because we also have that stuff with George Clooney out in the Arctic, which is infinitely more interesting than the space stuff. And he thereby overshadows all of them. And that's really indicative of the movie's main problem. That being the story. Good lord, how do I put this? Let's just say you have The Revenant here. pretty excellent film. Again, I kind of wish I was watching this one instead. But say you take the basic plot of The Revenant and you combined it with Gravity, which is another really, really great Oscar-worthy film, and you basically merged both of their plots together. And this sounds like a pretty solid pitch to take it to a studio for a big project. It sounds like any normal pitch, rather. Gravity meets The Revenant. Sounds simple enough. But this is just your baseline. Then, say you add the whole road trip aspect of Logan, and you just sprinkle it on top right here. And then because it's a space epic, you kind of have to throw in a couple of homages to the old space classics. Let's see here. Here we are. Let's add in one space classic from last year, Ad Astra. A really great film with Brad Pitt going to fucking Neptune. You just put that on top right there. And ooh, here we go. Of course, you gotta add in 2001: A Space Odyssey because every cinephile in the book knows this film. And you gotta throw in a couple of visual homages to that, so we'll just put it on top. And hey, you know what? As if to make matters even more convoluted, why not just set it obviously in the year of the second Blade Runner? So yeah, you see that, guys? It's a pretty interesting stack of Blu-rays right there. Now say you take this stack of movies and you were to put it into like a 3D printer-esque machine, and then you were to type in this algorithm into the machine that says, okay, give me a screenplay that has all the best aspects of those 6 films. And then you would type that algorithm into the machine, and the result is, the machine would basically spit out the screenplay for The Midnight Sky. And bingo! Should be good to go by then, right? Which brings me to the big part of my issue. I appreciate you guys bearing with me. This stack of movies, all pretty diverse in their own right. They all offer us each something different. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. All 6 of these movies share one common trait. Every single one of them is better than The Midnight Sky. And it shows with this story and this script. And your result is a movie that has no fucking idea what it wants to be deep down. It really wants to be this space epic like Ad Astra, but it also wants to be this road trip film like Logan, but it also wants to be the survival epic like The Revenant. And I'm just sitting here like, guys, just pick one and run with it. Because if you don't just pick one, it's just a big confusing mess. Now, I realize that this film was based off of a famous book, so there's probably only so much of these filmmakers could have done with this material. But man, oh man, with the talent involved, The Midnight Sky should have been excellent. Instead, it just feels like a film that's just kind of coasting. And the reason why it's so aggravating is because this is not a bad film. The visuals are just spectacular. George Clooney is his usual phenomenal actor self, but also showing glimpses of potential as a director. But other than that, there was just not a whole lot of new to digest with this one. I'm gonna give The Midnight Sky a C-. It's really unfortunate that I had to say that, because this film could have and should have been better than it was. I mean, some solid filmmaking and some unbelievable visuals, like I said, but these characters and this story are hollow and just so weightless, sadly. But I don't know, that's just my opinion, guys. Do you agree with me? Do you not? Have you been looking forward to seeing The Midnight Sky? Have you seen it? I would love to discuss all those thoughts with you down in the comments section below. I'm really curious to find out what you guys thought of this film. And if you guys want to continue discussing cinema and all things entertainment with me, you know where I'll be. So please consider hitting that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can. Because number 1, it's free. It really does help out the channel. And number 2, if you guys do subscribe, you guys will be the first ones to know anytime I upload a new video over here. And if you guys enjoyed this video also, just please be sure to leave a thumbs up on your way out. I'd really appreciate that. Man, this film did a number on me. Thank you all so much for watching the video. As always, look out for more exciting content hitting the channel very, very soon. You guys are awesome. With all that being said, back talk, commence.